Minasan! Welcome back for another round of Kaiju number 8. Oh, we are in the middle of, well, we're kind of at the, well, yeah, we're still in the middle of the training arc, aren't we? Or sort of at the tail end of the training arc. Another kaiju popped up and is now attacking Kikoru. That's where we last left off at. As Kafka struggles with his 1% power. His most difficult to handle 1% power, which is pretty hilarious. Oh man. Good pacing so far. So now we're gonna see how everybody's gonna handle this mysterious kaiju that just points and blows you up. So let's not waste any time and let's get reading. Kaiju number 8 by Naoya Matsumoto, Chapter 7. Kafka and Reno lay across the asphalt, staring up at in the clear blue sky, exhausted and tired, as the whole entire training segment has been completed by Kikoru's rash, rushing, and destructive nature. As they both took long, hard breaths, the duo were very, very, very disappointed that it was concluded before they even got a chance to do anything. Reno said, "Kikoru Shinomiya is every bit as monstrous as the rumors claim." "Yeah," that Kafka said, "and she ended up making a fool of me at every turn." He lifted his whole body up and brushed off some of the dust that gathered on his suit. "Although we were able to stay in the pack till the end thanks to her. Now all that's left to do is wait for the results." Reno sat up as well and nodded. "Yes, you're wrong." And he froze in place. As two Yoju began rising up, torn, ripped to shreds, but still alive. They were shocked. They didn't know what to do or how to react properly with all the other members of the destruction team. "What the hell?" Kafka said, as his eyes grew wide. Elsewhere, blood dripped onto the ground and spilled all over the place. Kikoru coughed and hacked and weaved. "Ah, cough, cough, cough," as blood poured out of her mouth. She thought to herself, "I managed to keep that shot from reaching my heart by focusing my shield on a single point. Pretty sure I could still fight." She looked down at her open wound as the suit tried to protect her. The kaiju that struck her with the mysterious air bullet called upon a giant Yoju as it rose up and stared down at him. "Ah, what is this?" she said. There, good boy," the kaiju said, caressing the giant Yoju. "I'll leave the rest to you." And Kikoru's eyes grew wide. "Ah, it spoke," she thought. And the kaiju pointed right at her. "Chew well and eat up now. You need all your nutrients. She's actually pretty good. I'm gonna tenderize her for you." And with the single point of his finger, he pummeled her with more holes, and blood continued pouring out of her body. She barely could scream, and she let it out. "Ah!" And the kaiju that struck her disappeared. And the Yoju looked down at her with a big smile on his face. "No." Back at the command tower, everyone's watching hard as the alarm sounded off to the sound of beeps and beeps and beeps. "Number 2016's vitals are abnormal." "I said, what the hell's going on down there?" Hoshino asked. "I'm picking up vital signs," Glasses Girl said. "From the dead kaiju in the training area. It's as if they're reviving one after the other. Oh, what's going on here? That ain't good. That sounds like the devil's doing. Those kaiju shouldn't be capable of doing that. We have the resurrected Honju's estimated fortitude at 6.4. No." Hoshino looked over at the monitor and thought, "Its strength increased? That's not possible. At that level, it'll take a whole company to dispose of it. What are we going to do now? I'd say the only ones here who can handle something like that solo would be." And that's when he heard a familiar voice call out to him.
Ocean,
Mina said.
we are deploying.
The captain, Hoshina said, and he nodded. Roger, ma'am. Or me, he thought to himself. And he immediately got into the intercom and called out to all the examinees. Activate all examinees' remote shields and send a portion of the recall drones back out so I can see what's going on out there. And suddenly the alarm sounded off as the drones flew across the sky. Emergency! Emergency! The intercom said as all the examinees stopped and listened. As their suits started going all crazy. All examinees are to evacuate the nearest shelter immediately. Senpai, we need to get going, Reno said to Kafka as everyone started moving along. One of the examinees saw the Honju.
What the hell? The Kaiju is moving.
They said.
Run for it!
And they begin running. They ran away. They ran away, leaving Kikoru behind. And she looked at the Hanju while she was completely disabled from the injuries she received.
Evacuate. What good is that going to do? If we don't stop this thing now, a lot of those people will lose their lives.
She wiped the blood off her face as she scowled at the giant creature leaning closer towards her. She thought to herself,
I'd have to use the suit's Kaiju muscle fibers to bind the wound.
And she with the press of the button, she activated it and the suit began closing all around.
I can still move. I can still fight. No casualties are allowed on the battlefield where I set foot.
She said to herself as she had a flashback of her father, just not even looking back at her. Ah, Kikoru, you must be perfect for the sake of this nation's future. Shinomiya said to his daughter, and she screamed out loud,
I must be perfect.
And as she got up to her feet, the Honju's hand came right in her direction and slapped her upside the head and sent her right into the building, and debris crumbled all over her as she coughed up more blood and struggled to get back up.
I won't lose,
she said as more blood poured down on her. And so as the pain sent her into a flashback.
Kikoru, you're amazing.
And there she was, Kikoru with her exam entrance exam application showing that she's the top of the whole class.
Your name's at the very top.
The kids cheered out.
That basically means you aced it, right?
Kikoru smiled gleefully like Asuka from the Evangelion. She closed her eyes and tilted her head up and and declared,
Yep, that's make me the top exam student. And
suddenly she was interrupted by a teacher who patted her classmate on the head. Risa, congrats on passing. I knew you could do it.
Hey, don't pat my head. You're embarrassing me.
I'm gonna go buy you that purse you wanted.
Wait, really? Yay!
And Kikoru watched on very quietly as she realized that was her dad. That was Risa's dad. And Risa waved goodbye. She held her father's arms.
Okay, see you around, Kikoru. I have a dad, not you. I'm getting some ice cream.
And suddenly, Kikoru looked around and started hearing all the dads and moms cheering for their kids. Oh yeah, that's my boy. Good job. Alright, kiddo, we're getting yakiniku to celebrate. And there she stood all by herself as every parent embraced their child, making Kikoru feel more and more jealous. And then she looked over to her right.
Dad.
Lady Kikoru, I'm your butler, not your dad.
Dad.
Master shall be making his return later tonight.
But you're my dad.
This turn of events should leave him quite pleased. Okay? And Kikoru took a long sigh and said,
Yeah!
Ugh, top exam student. Shinomiya said to his daughter. So what? That's how it should be, child. We are the top dog. We are the alphas. Fixating on a single success will only cause you to falter. Waste no time and begin working towards your next goal. Listen well, Kikoru. The child listened as she lowered her head. You must continue to be perfect for the sake of the nation's future. You are the Evangelion. You are the Oscar Langley Soryu. And for your late mother as well.
Ah, yes, sir.
And Kikoru freaked out, snapping out of her flashback, and started firing at the Honju.
I won't lose.
As she remembered his words one more time. Never stop moving forward, child. And as much as and despite getting slapped again by the Honju, she still screamed out,
I can still fight. Never to be outdone. Even with one arm, as long as I can move it, I can still do it.
You must dominate, child.
I can still fight this.
And she looked at her busted arm as her gun laid on the floor.
This can't be.
And she grabbed her busted up arm as the Honju towered over her and grew a set of horns. Command immediately noticed what was happening. The Honju's vitals have undergone a change. Its severed una organs have regenerated. It's condensing energy as we speak. Oh no, it's definitely the devil's horns. Are we gonna make it in time? I need to know. Meanwhile, Kikoru on her knees with a broken arm, with blood pouring out of her from all the from the wounds, and the gun laying on the ground beside her. All she could think of was disappointing her dad.
I'm sorry, Daddy.
She lowered her head.
I wasn't able to be perfect after all. I am the Shinji.
And as she was resigning herself to her death, a giant beam came right at the Honju's chest. She shed tears as she whispered one more time.
I'm sorry, Father. I am more Shinji than Asuka. That's all I'm gonna ever be.
And that's when she heard a strange voice call out to her and opened her eyes. You did a fine job, Kikoru. It was Kafka with a big smile on his face as he stared right at her. She lifted her head up and was shocked at seeing him.
What are you doing here?
Kafka stood right before her, staring down at the Honju as the strange blast lifted up into the air and debris fell all around. Kikoru sheltered her, shielded her eyes from getting dust.
Everyone,
And that's when she heard something strange.
Everyone managed to evacuate, and it's all thanks to your hard work, Kikoru.
And when she opened her eyes, she saw Kafka in his kaiju disguise.
Just leave the rest to me,
he said. To be continued. Kaiju number 8 by Naoya Matsumoto. Kaiju number 8 by Naoya Matsumoto. Chapter 8. The examinees are all making their escape, while Iharu, Izumo, and Aoi provided cover to make sure that everyone made it out safely. That fired away with their rifles, firing away at their rifles and screaming out loud. Come on, dudes, get the freaking lead out, you lugs, Iharu said. Make a break for the shelters on the double, dudes. Kafka looked around. All right, the defense force should be here any minute. We better evacuate. And that's when he heard three of the examinees explain to Reno.
Are you all right? Are there any others in that area?
Right, well, technically we're the last ones out, but, technically, technically, Kikaru Shinomiya is back there holding off the Honju on her own. She's all busted up.
Shinomiya's there? Sir, what should we...
And Kafka was nowhere to be seen. He vanished without a trace, and Reno understood why.
Wait, he's already gone? There's no way he'd transform right now, right? Right? Oh no, if he turned into a kaiju now, he'd just wind up getting killed. No, he'd do it.
Reno looked down the Honju's direction.
In a situation like this, he'd do it without a second thought.
And there Kikoru sat with eyes wide open, horrified at what she saw, as Kafka the kaiju stood before her, ready to fight.
What's the big idea? You were the kaiju the entire time? Don't tell me you and that other one are in league with each other, or Kikaru.
Kafka said, looking back, and he slid right before her with his hands pressed in prayer, swinging side to side.
Please, I beg you, keep this a secret from the defense force, please.
He started bowing and prostrate, freaking Kikoru. The Honju built up a giant beam between his horns and aimed it right at them.
It's firing a second shot this time. This is bad,
she said, and Kafka got up onto his feet, and when the beam fired out, he blocked it and sent it in another direction. Whee! The beam screamed out as it struck Kafka's hand. And the redirected beam struck the buildings behind Kikoru, creating a loud explosion, and the burst of air pushed her hair forward.
I'll fill you in later,
Kafka said.
Just need a sec to take this thing down.
He began flexing his fist and built up all his muscles and channeled all sorts of energy around him with electricity as he stared down the Honju.
So kick back and relax and be awesomed by my awesomeness. That make no sense,
Kikoru said. Meanwhile, back at the command tower, with Kafka generating so much energy, it caught the attention of Glasses Girl as she stared out at the monitor. I'm detecting an abnormal high energy emission near the Honju's location. Is it a new kaiju? And that's when Mina and Hoshino started running out and deployed.
What do you say, son? Do you have a visual?
A combination of dust clouds and network disturbances are preventing visual confirmation. Hold on. What is this reading? Then she saw that the reading spiked up higher than any of the other readings that within the chart. It's Fortitude 9.8. Oh my gosh. Uh-oh. Okay.
Oh, you're nuts. Are you nuts, child? That last jolt must have been throwing the calculation device out of whack.
Yes, that must be it, she said.
Cause if it isn't an error, then whatever this is clearly the devil's testicle, and we gotta do something about that and give it a little prostate exam and such like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I understand what you're saying.
And whatever this is would go down in the history books as one of the greatest kaiju to ever exist. A Kaiju, if you understand what I'm saying. Which means those nutsack in Japanese and all that stuff. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I understand what you're saying. So, and meanwhile, Kikoru's watching Kafka charging up so much energy that it's not even killing her for some weird reason. The Honchu lunged at him with hoofs for fingers, going "Yow!" And Kafka's feet unraveled a little something, a set of strings that plunged into the ground and formed 3 sets of legs, providing him some reinforcement. And he looked up at the Honchu as he created a giant crater that somehow didn't hurt Kikoru. Sorry, time's ticking, so I'm cleaning you up in one shot. And with all his power, he opened up his elbow, revealing a strange hole. His mouth stretched out and opened wide, revealing a giant beam of energy. And with one punch, and he swung right at the Honshu, and that's when Kikoru immediately shielded her eyes as a loud sound blared into her ears. One punch! And all of a sudden, the Honshu's arm ripped into pieces, exposing its human-like skeleton. Then the rest of its body started ripping off, revealing more skeleton as the Honshu opened its mouth, saying, "What the?" And it vaporized into millions of pieces, leaving behind just its guts and bones and intestines and other icky stuff. Kikoru's mouth opened wide, and a couple of flies entered in and down her throat as she watched all the guts rain down onto the street. Then Kafka took a tight grip of his hand and called out to Honshu, "Let's see you try and come back after that, pal." And come back it did as it started reforming and regenerating back to its original form. Yee! Kafka screamed out, "I was just kidding, I swear, please don't come back." And the guts fall back into the ground and stay dead. Kafka wiped the sweat off of his kaiju brow. "Don't freak me out like that," he said, as Kikoru could only just sit there, completely glazed and shocked. "Ugh, what is this guy?" She said. "Even if my body was perfect, I'd never be able to beat him." As she thought to herself as Kafka looked right back at her, and he stretched his arm out at her, and she was ready for the worst, assuming and assumed the worst, when suddenly she heard the scream once more, "One punch!" And Kafka's fist completely obliterated a Yoju that was right behind Kikoru, and that was trying to catch her off by surprise. She saw half of its body obliterated into paste as the other half just collapsed before them. "Ah, I told you," she said, looking back. "Ah, you seem to be all right from the looks of things." And his mask peeled off of his face as he smiled gleefully. "Glad you're safe." And Kikoru just stared right at him. "Oh, I love you already," she said. "Oh, but one piece of advice," he says. He stood up as the rest of his kaiju body vanished. "You need to make your own safety more of a priority." He pointed right into her face. And Reno, out of nowhere, chopped him in the back of the head.
"I could say the same to you."
"Oh, Ichikawa, what are you doing here?" Kafka said as he turned around in shock and nursing the back of his head.
"You rushed off on your own without a word to me, and just like I figured, you made a spectacle of yourself and transformed."
"Well, I thought maybe I could get by with just transforming individual body parts like I did before, but once I saw what I was up against, I realized that wasn't going to fly."
"Whatever, just be more careful about..."
And Kikoru suddenly collapsed and fainted from her injuries.
"Shinomiya!"
Reno said. And that's when the elite team showed up.
Operation room.
Hoshina said.
Ashida and Honisha here. We're at the scene, and it appears that the devil's testicle has had its prostate cancer removed, and it's a good old 10 clear here. You hear what I'm saying, ma'am? You hear what I'm saying?
To be continued. Kaiju number 8 by Naoya Matsumoto. Kaiju number 8 by Naoya Matsumoto, Chapter 9. They stood, Hoshina and Mina stood before the destruction of what was left of the Honshu. They're trying to piece together what was going on here as they examined all the guts around them and the destruction left in its wake.
Now, what in the hell happened down here? I understand that the devil's all crazy and everything, but what kind of fight ends with a mess like this? Who's gonna clean up this whole thing? You understand what I'm saying?
And it's here. Ah. The Sniffit crew shows up and reported to the captain.
Captain Ashiro, Vice Captain Hoshida, there are no signs of any activities. This is the operation room.
Oh, sorry. I jumped ahead. It does not.
It does not matter what our plan is. Captain Ashiro, Vice Captain Hoshida, no signs of any examinees. It is as if no one cared what our plan was.
This is this is the operation room. Glasses girl called off from the intercom.
Go ahead.
Mina asked. It appears that 3 examinees have taken refuge in Shelter 6. Reports say that Kikoru Shinomiya is among them. She says she looked at the drone monitor where the drone recorded Kafka, Reno, and Kikoru in the area.
Oh, I see that she's safe then. That's a good thing to hear about. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Of that, all examinees are safely accounted for, Glasses Girl said.
Roger that. I make sure they get the treatment.
Mina gave the order.
Now, Captain, what do you make of all this here? I'm still running out my devil theory here. As strong as Kikoru Shinomiya may be, I doubt that this destruction is our own doing. You understand what I'm saying? Oh, there's a lot of mysteries to unpack. Starting with how these kaiju revive themselves will need to investigate.
She turned around and looked at the Sniffits.
Get an investigation unit and a disposal unit on this. Hoshida and I will exterminate any remain in Yorju. Of course, Mom. It will be your plan, indeed.
Hoshina thought to himself, "It's nearly identical." As he looked around at the destruction. 3 months ago, that day that Kaiju number 8 appeared, yeah, we found the Kaiju corpse neutralized by an unknown entity that was just as mangled as this one. I bet they're somehow linked. He's probably the devil's muscle for some reason. I wouldn't be surprised and put the past down. Meanwhile, at the infirmary, Reno smiled gleefully at Kafka.
Great news, isn't it, Senpai? Your injuries weren't as bad as we thought.
And there Kafka lied on the bed with bandages all around his ribs and his face, and he's just all slumped on the pillow, completely devoid of energy. Ugh, back in the hospital, he said.
Shinomiya seems to be in stable condition.
He said. Reno said as he peeled an apple. I'm gonna need to investigate that one. As he peeled an apple at Kafka's bedside.
I heard they're treating her with the best science the Defense Force has to offer.
And what about me? I want some of that.
Well, you only have some minor fractures, Senpai.
Ugh. And and Kafka slumped right back onto the bed. It all happened so fast, he said, and Reno paused and listened. Going up against all that tough competition served as a reminder. Chasing after your dreams means getting beat at that one big thing you just can't give up, every second or minute.
Senpai.
But you know what? Kafka looked at the Reno with a smile. The chase can also get you fired up that you stop caring about any of that. That was just a reminder I needed. He looked at the ceiling with a brimming energy of confidence, and Reno nodded. And it's all because you gave me that initial push. Thanks, Ichikawa. And Kafka took a bite from the apple as Mina listened very quietly outside with her arms crossed. She then stepped out into the open and entered inside, catching Kafka and Reno's attention.
Wait, you're Captain Ashita.
Mina, Kafka thought to himself.
Captain, what are you doing here?
Mina and Kafka stared each other down. Then she turned her attention to Reno.
I was informed the two of you transported the severely injured Shinomina to safety.
And she gave a salute to them.
Your rescue efforts are greatly appreciated.
And they both were surprised as Mina turned around and walked out the door.
That's all. A good day.
Me. And Kafka raised his arm up and said, me. And before he could finish saying her name, he clenched his fist and said, no, not now. And he held his fist to his hand. I'll speak to her after I become an officer. As Mina, he thought to himself as Mina walked through the halls, being saluted by all her subordinates. Just you wait, Mina. Meanwhile, at Kokubuji City in Tokyo, the radio broadcast was delivering the news of what happened. There was trouble at the Defense Force testing site. Reports state that dead kaiju suddenly started springing back to life. However, despite a few injured parties, there have been 0 fatalities as a result.
Huh?
Yep. The kaiju continued listening onto the radio broadcast as it sat on a toilet seat with its legs lifted up to make sure nobody finds it inside.
0, 0.
It said as it listened on further.
Wait. How are there 0 fatalities?
He pressed his fingers under his chin and rubbed it, pondering.
Is this captain up there really that strong?
The radio broadcast started buzzing, and the kaiju started tapping on the screen.
Let's see here. Pretty sure you answer a phone like this. Moshi moshi.
And that's when he heard heard the cleanup crew.
When you get after break time's over, you know. Oh, oops. Don't you oops me. Come on, we gotta at least tear down what's on the tracks before the first train comes in. Yes, sir. Right there, sir.
And the kaiju started morphing and molding and gooing all up and started taking the form of a human slowly. I'll be right. I'm getting myself together, assistant. He said as he started completing his whole human form. Good grief. Humans are so fussy over time. Yeah. And he stepped out completely dressed in uniform. Sorry about that. Kind of got a case of the runs. Jeez, y'all had us worried. Make sure you say something before holding up on the John, newbie. The Kafka's cleanup crew said as the kaiju caught up with them. Hey, by the way, I heard there was some accident at the testing site. For real? I hope Kafka and Ichikawa are alright.
Whoops, can't go losing my head now.
The kaiju said as his head started twisting and distorting from its human form to kaiju form. To be continued. Kaiju number 8 by Naoya Matsumoto. That was actually a pretty good set of chapters. A very, very good set of chapters. Basically, Kikoru succeeded and everybody wins because of her ambitions. Running all over the place and being reckless. Crazy enough. Being reckless. But they found out that that the Yoju and Honshu started rising up. Kafka and Reno saw it, and of course, they called for all the evacuees to run. But one of the most crazy things, let's see here, was basically when they called for the evacuation. Here we go. They called for the evacuation, and I gotta say, these guys all the way on the top left are a bunch of cowards. These three guys, they just ran off. They didn't even bother to try and rescue Kikoru or anything. You know what I'm saying? They just abandoned her outright as she's sitting there, completely injured, bloodletting and everything, and the Honshu's ready to eat her and everything. But of course, she shows determination that she wants to be able to fight back. This is a great depiction of a crisis-like situation. Saying how you say. This is a good level of writing, because you can see that Hoshina and Mina are like, yeah, evacuate everybody. They valued the lives of the examinees. Just to contrast, just to safely contrast, okay, just to safely contrast, and you can make note in the comment section. But when I was watching the My Hero Academia anime, alright, and the villains showed up while the students were in the middle of examinations. Not a single adult tried to evacuate a kid. I need you to let that sink in. If I remember correctly, please correct me if I'm wrong, but if I remember correctly, when the villains broke into the training facility, you had all these underage kids suddenly find themselves fighting the villains. And not just once, but they also did that in the forest as well. And not a single adult tried to evacuate the kids. These are underage kids. It doesn't matter if they're trained to be superheroes and whatnot. They're still inexperienced. They're still inexperienced. They're still kids. They're students, and nobody was trying to get them to evacuate. I don't know. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But I kind of took note of this fact that these are grown adults, and they didn't tell these grown adults to fight. They told them to run. They put their safety and their lives ahead because they're still inexperienced. They're still, trainees. They're just examinees. You know what I'm saying? But even if they were trainees, they wouldn't subject them to something like that easily. Kikoru, she's a whole another level, but it's kind of crazy when I start thinking about it. But let me know if I'm wrong or anything, saying if I'm off the mark. But seeing these three examinees just running off instead of trying to help her. I mean, she didn't even say, go on without me. I'll take, I'm going to fight this thing. They just took the initiative and ran. They didn't even try to help her or anything. And that's messed up. That's messed up. But yeah, it was very interesting when I when I noticed this. When I saw this sequence happening, I found it interesting that with My Hero Academia, they didn't make any attempts to evacuate the kids, none of the adults. But here you got these two high-ranking officers telling all the adults to get the hell out. Don't even fight. Don't worry about it. You know what I'm saying? I just find that very interesting in terms of storytelling. A tale of two authors here. Two writers here. Telling the story. One chose to have the kids fight, and the other chose to have the adults be smart and run. But we get Kikoru's backstory. She's the Asuka Langley Soryu of the group. she's the Asuka of the group. And her old man, is a hard line. Kill at all costs. You will be the chosen one, my daughter, kind of thing. But what's interesting about her, about how they show her here, saying, and why she's a very well built character, is that she's a happy kid. Saying, she's not talking down to her classmates or anything. She's taking pride and confidence, being the top student, but she's not belittling, any of the kids there. You know what I'm saying? And look how happy she is, wanting to tell her dad about her success. She's, saying, she's you know what I'm saying, showing that she's a good kid. It shows that she's a good kid. Unfortunately, her old man has to be let me see here. There we go. Her old man has to be freaking what's his name? From Todoroki's dad. He has to be Todoroki's dad. You got to be number one. I mean, there's a lot of parents out there that are like that, and that are really like that. But you know, he says for your late mother, so you know, something went down and everything. You know what I'm saying? But dang, yo, talking about another Todoroki thing here. But at least in this case with Kikoru, character wise, design wise, you know, saying even though that is the influence, you know, saying her old man is influencing it. She's not. You know, she's teasing Kafka. You know, saying she's making fun of Kafka and everything. But she still shows respect to all the others. You know what I'm saying? She still shows some modicum of respect to the others. You know what I'm saying? She's just exerting overconfidence, basically. You know what I'm saying? She and very very little humility, character design wise. But she's not really a bad character. She's not a bad character because you know, despite all the skills she has, she ends up you know, taking a lot of hits and facing death, which has a nice payoff. You know what I'm saying? You know, she gets injured, she gets hurt. She, you know, saying she's not perfect in every way. She's just overconfident and naive at times, until Kafka shows up and, you know, rightfully calls her out for it. You know, saying, of course, this is after he reveals himself and shocking the living crap out of her. Where's my arrows at? Here we go. But it's pretty hilarious, the whole entire sequence here, because Kafka's like, well, for starters, Reno's like, why, why, and this is a pretty comical moment here. Very nice, quick comedy here, where he's sliding in, he's telling, please, 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 he's begging her, and then he shows his awesomeness by deflecting the whole thing. Her shock was perfectly natural. She's just sitting there like, it's not that she's moved, it's that she's shocked because she's witnessing a hard truth here about Kafka. She's witnessing a very very hard truth, and and she doesn't know how to react to it. Meanwhile, everybody's discovering that his power level, his fortitude level is 9.8, which really makes him what is known as a Dai Kaiju. I better note that. Dai Kaiju. 9.8 fortitude, just to make sure I remember that later down the line. But yeah, he ends up doing another One Punch Man in what is quite possibly a pretty well done set of panels here. This is like so excellent. Look at the details in all of this here. The bone structure, you know, saying Matsumoto-san didn't just phone it in. Went to great detail showing the bone lining, the whole structure, how the joints are connected to each other. This went real hard. You know, this whole panel went hard here. And then we get the payoff where we see more details of the bone structure. It's now breaking apart and everything while we see the rib cage and the guts and everything. The flesh, you can see the force of the punch, you know, like this whole aura, this wind pushing the flesh right off the bone, and then we see the end result all in one punch, really conveying again just how powerful Kafka is, you know, Kaiju number 8 is. And what's great about it is that it keeps the consistency. It still stays consistent, you know. That even the most powerful of Honchus can get taken down, which now leads to the question of what happens when he takes on a humanoid kaiju, another Dai Kaiju like him. That's something that would be very exciting to see. But again, even though he's starting off overpowered and he's balanced out by having a 1% power level, or is it 0%? Is he at 0%? No, he's still at 0%. No, he's at 1%. 1%. Yeah, he's at 1% right now. But this is a good display that he's overpowered. But I would warn again: be very careful when doing overpowered characters because because since Honshu is the next level of power after Yoju, that means that every time he takes on a Honshu, he's got to deliver this result unless there's some way, unless a Daikaiju gives it something more powerful, make it a lot more and more powerful. Saying sometimes these power creeps, these OPs could be mismanaged. One Punch Man does an excellent job with overpower, but it's just a matter of keeping all things consistent and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? And yeah. Again, stay consistent. Good consistency right there. Just delivered that crazy punch. And of course, Kafka showing how much of a hero he can be, shielding Kikoru while one punch manning the Yoju there. And she's got the looks there. If you see her eyes on the left panel, yeah, she's like, have my children. she got hot and horny on that one. But again, another testament to her character development. Kafka called her out and told her that she needs to make her own safety more of a priority. He delivers that advice, and she doesn't even talk back or anything. You know what I'm saying? She doesn't she doesn't really push back at it. She just, she was like, oh. While Reno at the same time is calling Kafka out for being so reckless himself, running off and becoming the kaiju. Poor Reno. He's become the babysitter. Oh man. So yeah, now that the whole entire incident has been cleared out, Hoshina and Mina are left with questions. Everybody's healing in the hospital. Let's see here. Yeah, everybody's healing in the hospital. Mina shows up. This was a very, very short chapter 9, very quick moving. She shows up and gives thanks, but Kafka, it's interesting. I guess I don't know what it is, honestly. I guess I have to assume it's a cultural thing because he could have said something, honestly. I don't know why he has to wait until he's an officer to talk to her. He could have talked to her at any time. You know what I mean? I think she would understand, especially if he was trying hard. You know what I'm saying? I mean, she has to know. She has access to his dossier, his records. She had to have seen all the struggles he had, seeing that he gets past the first exam. He made it very clear he gets past the first exam. It's the second exam he fails at. I'm sure Mina would understand. I don't know why she would be, like that. I mean, yeah, he said he made a promise, but again, she has access to his records. She sees he gets past the first exam, and he's having a hard time with the second exam. Why isn't she helping him out? I'm just curious. Why isn't she coming up to him? Like, is Kafka doing something wrong on his end? Like, is he pushing her away? You know what I'm saying? Like, he's letting this whole "I'm not going to talk to you until I become an officer" thing go to his head, and she actually wants to talk to him. You know what I'm saying? Like, she wanted to talk to him all this time, but he just kept pushing her back and back because he wants to become an officer, and which is a pretty dumb thing to do, quite honestly, because she's the top dog. She has access to the records. She had to have seen all of his exams and saying I want, maybe I can see him and give him some tips, some advice, something that could help him get over that second exam hurdle so he could get to his dream. I don't believe one minute that she would, hold a grudge over a childhood promise. If she really was a friend, she would have gone to him. You know what I'm saying? Like I would like to see that. I'm hoping that I could see something like that as the story moves along, that she'll come up and say, why couldn't you talk to me? I wanted to talk to you, but you keep pushing me away. You know what I'm saying? You keep pushing me away. I wanted to talk to you, see if I can help you get over the second hurdle and everything. Because that's what a friend would do. a friend would try and help out at least. You know what I'm saying? Look at Reno. Reno helped out Kafka for Christ's sakes. He helped him. He gave Kafka information and helped him with the exams and everything. You know, he helped him out. I don't see why Mina couldn't do the same. You know what I'm saying? You know, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't believe for 1 minute she would not understand, you know, Kafka's situation and be like, okay, you know what? And she sits down with him and says, I'm going to help solve this issue you're having, that you keep on failing the second exam. Because you know what, seeing her in the early chapters, you know, chapters 1 and all that, looking down at him and giving that look like I don't like you. There's got to be more to it. It can't just be him saying, you know, I'm not gonna touch. Maybe this is the problem that he's having with Mina. That you know, she wants to talk to. Maybe she wants to talk to him. You know what I'm saying? You know, she's calling, well, yeah, that's right. There was that scene where she called him a liar, but I don't believe it's that. You know what I'm saying? I don't believe it's just only that. You know, that he didn't keep up his childhood problems. I mean, freaking kids, man. You freaking kids. Kids say 1,000 different things, and you know they don't always mean it, man. Well, it's not that they don't mean it. It's that times change and sometimes things happen. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It happens. You know, it happens. It happens in life. It happens in life. You know what I'm saying? You put your whole mind, heart, and soul into the whole thing. Doesn't turn out the way it does. You know what I'm saying? But if Mina truly was a friend, she would have talked to him. And if she did try to talk to him and he's been acting like this in this panel here, yeah, that's on him. But I can't sit and believe for 1 minute that him not keeping the promise that he made as a kid to become an officer is what she's really angry at him about. You know what I'm saying? That you know, it's got to be more than that. You know what I mean? It's got to be more. Like it's a piece of the cog to her issue with Kafka. You know what I'm saying? The promise, but this not talking to her. You know, like at this moment. And trying to do this whole thing, I'll speak to her after I become. Maybe that's what she's also angry about, not just only the promise part, but the fact that he's not talking to her. You know, she's probably wanting to talk to her. It's kind of a you know, that's the kind of writing I don't like. You know what I'm saying? When when you're not establishing, you know, saying that there was no level of communication and everything. Everybody's just, you know, scowling and anger just for the sake of scowling and anger. That kind of feel, it's that, you know, saying it weakens the writing. It weakens the writing. If the, you know, I know you want to keep the mystery and everything. And that's fine. That's fine. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, we could say this is all speculation and everything. But I just feel like Kafka saying all of this, you know what I'm saying? And not getting some kind of I don't know. It's just I get worried when I see dialogue like that. You know what I mean? That's I'll give a good example for, of that, and that is shoot, what's the name of that? That anime, the Megalobox. There we go, Megalobox season 2. I couldn't finish it because I didn't like the reason why Joe did what he did. You know what I'm saying? Because one kid said it, and you know, kid tell him to just leave, and he actually listens to the kid and leaves. It's like, really? That's the reason why because the kid told you to leave, so you just leave? You know, it weakens. It weakens. You're a grown man, Joe. Why are you listening to a little kid telling you to leave, and then you stay away forever because the little kid told you to leave? That's what this is. This is what I'm seeing here, and to me, that's weak. You know what I'm saying? If this is the case here, Kafka is weak as hell. And Mina needs to get in his face and be like, grow some testicles, man. Anytime I see dialogue like this, I'll speak to her after I become. No, talk to her now. You know, I'm hoping this is not, you know, based. I hope this is not something that's cultural in Japan, because communication is the most important thing in the world. You know, when people don't talk to each other, all it does is create unnecessary problems that could have been solved so quickly. So that could have been solved so quickly. All right, tangent on weak writing over. We get a fun moment with this kaiju that attacked the examinees, the training area, with the in the bathroom, and it turns out that he's with the cleaning crew. He's in disguise completely, so it just adds more to the world build that that the kaiju can morph into humans. So it kind of asks the question, it leads to more big mysteries as to what more can the kaiju do. Aside from popping babies and being giants, now they can take on these human forms and such. Really gives me that vibe from Godzilla, Shin Godzilla at the end. Yeah, yeah. That's what these guys here, the Daikaiju, are reminding me of. So yeah, there we go. Man, good set of chapters. Good set of chapters here. Nicely paced and everything, except for Kafka saying, "I'm gonna wait until I become." No, talk to her. Talk to her. Talk to her. Just talk to her, dang it. Oh man. Comment, like, subscribe, follow, you want to, and head on over to Amazon.com and grab yourself a copy of the Impossible Man Strange fantasy novel written by me. You'll find links to the book down in the description below, along with links to other merches. There's pins, stickers, t-shirts, music. Please enjoy all the merch. Thank you for your patronage, and if you're interested, you can join me on my live monthly stream on Twitch and Kick every Monday through Thursday, 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. There we go. So until the next set of chapters, thank you all for joining me, and I wish you all a good night, buenas noches, and oyasuminasai.